What if I told you there was a 400-year-old instruction manual for living a good life? I mean, like a spiritual cheat sheet written by some of the most brilliant thinkers of the 17th century. Well, that's pretty much what the Westminster Shorter Catechism is. It's basically a big FAQ with 107 questions and answers, designed to be a super compact guide to the Christian faith. So let's dive in and see what this old book has to say about our purpose, our problems, and the way forward.
Okay, so right out of the gate, this thing does not mess around. It jumps straight into what is, arguably the biggest question any of us could ever ask.
And there it is, question number 1. It's basically saying, before you figure out how to live, you've got to know why you're living in the first place. This one question, right here, it sets the stage for everything else that's going to follow in this guide.
And here's the famous answer. It's really a two-part mission statement for life. First, to glorify God. To live in a way that shows how great He is. But then there's the second part, to enjoy Him forever. And that's the kicker, the idea that enjoyment, real delight, is part of our ultimate purpose. It's not just about duty, it's about joy. This idea becomes the true north for the entire journey.
So, if that's the goal, why does it feel so hard sometimes? Why isn't life just a walk in the park? Well, the Catechism pivots right away to diagnose the problem, the central conflict in the human story.
So here's the story it tells, the narrative of the fall. It starts with this perfect setup, right? A covenant of life, where following one simple rule meant life forever. But then, there was a choice. Humanity was given free will and chose to go its own way, to disobey. And the consequence was huge. It was a fall from that perfect state into a completely new condition, one the text calls sin and misery. And that's the reason we're not living out that perfect purpose of glorifying and enjoying God.
And here's a really crucial point. This isn't just about one bad decision that happened a long time ago. According to the Catechism, it resulted in a state called original sin. The idea is that this isn't something we do, but a condition we're all born into. It's like our default setting got corrupted. This is the big predicament. So, how do you get out of it?
And this is where the whole tone of the guide shifts, from diagnosing the problem to revealing the solution. It lays out this incredible, divine rescue plan designed to pull humanity out of that state of sin and misery.
The solution isn't a program, it's a person, a redeemer. The Catechism identifies Him as Jesus Christ, and it makes a really specific point about who He is. He's not half God, half man. The idea is that He is fully God and fully man at the same time in one person. And this dual nature is seen as absolutely essential for Him to be the bridge to fix the gap that sin created.
So what does this Redeemer actually do? Well, the Catechism breaks His work down into 3 main roles, or offices. As a prophet, He reveals the truth to us. As a priest, He offers Himself as the sacrifice for our sin. And as a king, He rules and protects us. So, together, these 3 jobs are meant to solve every part of our problem, our ignorance, our guilt, and our powerlessness.
This slide really lays out the huge contrast, the whole before and after picture. The state of sin is pretty bleak, right? But through the Redeemer, a person can enter what's called a state of grace. And this comes with this amazing package of benefits. Justification, which is like being declared not guilty in court. Adoption, being welcomed into God's family as His own child. And sanctification, which is the lifelong process of actually becoming a better, more holy person.
Okay, so that covers the what to believe part of the guide, but then there's the what to do part. How is a person who's been rescued supposed to actually live their life? What's our part in all this?
Well, the answer is pretty straightforward. Our duty is to obey God's will. And the blueprint for what that looks like, the summary of the moral law, is found in something you've probably heard of, the 10 Commandments.
But this isn't just a random list of 10 rules. The Catechism boils them all down to 2 core principles. The first 4 commandments are all about our relationship with God, summarized as love God. And the next 6? They're about our relationships with other people. Love your neighbor. So the entire moral law is really just about how to live in a right relationship with God and with everyone else.
Now, you might be thinking, wow, that's a really high standard. There's no way I can do that on my own. And guess what? The Catechism completely agrees. It says, you're not just given a map and told, good luck. You're also given tools for the journey.
These are what it calls the means of grace. Think of them as the primary channels through which God gives us strength and help. So, reading the Bible, participating in things like baptism and the Lord's Supper and prayer, these aren't just religious chores. They're presented as absolutely vital spiritual supply lines.
So you have the moral law as your guide, and you have these means of grace as your support system. But how do you plug into all of this? How do you make it yours? The Catechism says the internal response from us comes down to two essential actions: faith and repentance.
First up is faith. And notice the key verbs in this definition: receive and rest upon. This isn't just about agreeing with a set of facts. It's described as an act of trust. It's about letting go of trying to save yourself and just resting completely on what Christ has already done for you.
And right alongside faith is repentance. Again, this is way more than just feeling bad about messing up. The Catechism defines it as a turning. It's like a complete U-turn. It's seeing your sin, turning away from it, and turning towards God with a brand new desire to follow His way.
And look at that, this brings us right back to where we started. The 10 Commandments, the tools for the journey, faith, repentance, all of these things aren't the goal themselves. They are the path that makes it possible for a person to finally fulfill their original purpose, to glorify God, and, yes, to enjoy Him forever.
So that's the whole framework in a nutshell. A clear purpose for life, a diagnosis of what went wrong, a divine solution, and a super practical guide for how to live every day. It's an entire system, and it leaves us with a pretty big question to chew on. In our crazy modern world, could a 400-year-old guide like this actually hold the keys to a truly good and meaningful life? Something to think about?